Luis Moreno stepped off Flight 447, with nothing but a worn duffel bag and a quiet demeanor, two things that wouldn't normally raise suspicion. But by the time Customs Officer Rachel Torres unzipped his luggage, she had unknowingly triggered an investigation that would expose an international crime syndicate, a string of corrupt officials, and a conspiracy buried beneath layers of deception. Title: Customs Officers Find Suspicious Item in Traveler's Luggage. It was an ordinary afternoon at the San Diego International Airport. Flight CC from had just landed, and passengers shuffled through customs bleary-eyed and clutching their belongings. Among them was a quiet man named Luis Moreno. He wore a beige jacket, dark sunglasses, and carried a worn-out duffel bag that had clearly seen better days. Customs officers watched from their stations. It wasn't Luis's appearance that caught their attention, it was how he moved. He avoided eye contact, clutched his bag a little too tightly, and hesitated just a second too long when choosing which customs lane to enter. Small signs, but enough for trained eyes to notice. A random bag check was requested, or so it seemed. When Luis was called aside, he appeared calm, cooperative. His passport and documents were in order. Nothing about his story raised alarms on the surface. But it was the bag that kept officers curious. It was unusually heavy for its size, and when one officer lifted it, the bottom sagged unnaturally. They placed the bag on the inspection table and began to unzip it. At first glance, it contained only clothes, wrinkled shirts, a pair of jeans, toiletries. Nothing illegal. But as they removed the layers, something odd emerged. A rectangular slab, wrapped in heavy plastic, tucked beneath the false bottom. Standard tests confirmed their suspicion. Cocaine, nearly 2 kilograms of it, cleverly concealed and compressed. Luis was arrested on the spot. What seemed like a straightforward drug bust would soon unravel into something far more complicated. Back at headquarters, officers processed the drugs and sent the bag for further inspection. That's when they discovered something unexpected. Hidden within the lining of the duffel bag was a tiny memory card. Just 2 gigabytes in size, taped underneath the inner fabrican. Odd place to smuggle something so small. Most assumed it was nothing, a backup of photos, maybe. But protocol required everything be examined. What they found on the card stunned everyone. The memory card contained dozens of high-resolution images, blueprints, security layouts, access codes, and surveillance schedules. Not of banks or government buildings, but of private shipping containers located at various ports across the West Coast. Some of these containers had already been flagged in past investigations involving missing weapons and military-grade technology. This was no longer a drug smuggling case. This was something bigger. An emergency task force was called in. Forensics traced the origin of the files to a rogue shipping logistics firm in Colombia 1, previously unknown to international authorities. The deeper they dug, the clearer the picture became. Luis Moreno was not a drug mule, at least not just a drug mule. He was a courier for a black market operation involving illegal arms, stolen data, and transnational crime. But here's the twist. When investigators searched Luis's apartment in San Diego, they didn't find more drugs. Instead, they found maps. Dozens of them, hand-drawn, annotated, and marked with strange symbols. One map matched the layout of a container yard near Long Beach. Another outlined a section of the Panama Canal. He wasn't just transporting information, he was collecting it. Then came the most disturbing discovery, a list of names. Some were known criminals, others were clean business people, port authorities, even a few customs officials. Every one of them had been investigated before, cleared, and forgotten. Now, all were connected by Luis's mysterious archive. But Luis never spoke. Not during interrogation, not during arraignment. He was transferred to a federal detention center to await trial. 2 weeks later, he was dead. Authorities claimed it was suicide, but the timing raised suspicion. No security footage was ever released. The only thing found in his cell was a piece of paper with 4 numbers scribbled on it. Those numbers? GPS coordinates? They pointed to a remote warehouse outside Mexicali, Mexico. When agents raided it, they uncovered the final layer of the operation, a massive underground facility packed with crates of unregistered firearms, counterfeit documents, and stolen diplomatic cargo. It was a trafficking hub disguised as a storage depot. Luis Moreno's arrest had cracked open an international criminal network worth millions. A man who appeared to be just another low-level drug mule had, intentionally or not, exposed the shadow economy of global ports. To this day, investigators don't know if Luis planned to get Kotor, if he was simply a pawn in a game he never understood. What's certain is this: when customs officers opened his bag that day, they didn't just find drugs. They found a story that would unravel a silent war being waged across borders. One shipment, one code, one mysterious courier at a time. And it all started with a suspicious item in a traveler's luggage.